Hi, this is Majin, and it's time for some leftovers. Leftovers are basically comics I didn't read on Wednesday that I finally got to after I did my videos, and here are some reviews. We have today Kick-Ass 3, Trillium, Sidekick, Earth 2, Swamp Thing, Flowers of the on his grave, and Daredevil, Dark Knights. Okay, let's do really quick and easy Kick-Ass 3. You know exactly what you're getting when you buy this, and this is exactly what you're getting. It's that simple. The art is, it's JRJR. You either love it or you hate it. The story is basically just a bunch of kids with costumes beating each other up, and that not much more I can say other than it is what it is. And if you're looking for me to say is it a good book or not, I'm telling you, it is what it is. It's nothing great and it's nothing horrible, but it's just nothing great. Trillium. I think this is one of the books that people are going to be wondering the most about. Trillium is a very interesting, I'm going to call it an experiment. Because basically what it is, it's two stories. There's one coming from the future, and there's one coming from the past, and they both meet in the middle. The first is the scientist woman, and the second is the explorer type person. And it can be read in any order. And then it's really weird how the story basically meets. And I think for what this thing is, it's really well done. It's very well written, and it's very, very well illustrated. Now, I don't think this is the type of illustration that's going to appeal to everybody, but this is a phenomenal piece of work here. And I think it did take a lot of time and planning, especially to come up with how they're going to do this. Now, in the future one, this girl basically is dealing with some aliens. There's flowers, and then she talks to them even though she's not supposed to. She eats a flower petal and goes back through time. And this guy is basically an explorer, and he's gone through hell. There's a war that he's gone through, that he's seen death, and he's going to the Amazon, and he basically encounters death again. And um, obviously it's supposed to have to deal with time traveling, and it's supposed to be a romance type story. And even though I'm giving this I'm going to say this is a fantastic book, and it's really well written, and the art is fantastic, I'm just going to say I don't think I can read it. And I think the reason why I can't read it is I don't find this interesting enough for me to want to read. But I do think that this is definitely a book that is going to be on a lot of people's radar, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this book. It's just, for me, I'm in this mode right now where I want superheroes. I want beating people up. I mean, right now, if you only knew, or the people who know, but the people who don't know what's going on like in Naruto and One Piece, you would understand what I'm saying. There's some serious ass kicking, and it's just so freaking good right now. And I want that type of action, and I need that kind of storytelling. And I'm not able to, I don't have the patience right now to read this. So I think what I might do is when this thing, depending upon how long this thing is, maybe get at the trades, and then I can read it when I can appreciate it later. Sidekick. I did not read too much into this, but this actually was a very interesting book when I picked it up and read it. Now, basically what we have here is the story of, you have your superhero. He's everything that you'd want a superhero to be, and his sidekick. And his sidekick is called Flyboy. I mean, that's your problem right now. Your name is Flyboy, and he can fly. And he does one thing to save everybody, and the hero's like, he is no longer a sidekick. He's earned his stripes type thing. And then what happens? The hero gets killed, and the sidekick's life pretty much goes down the crapper really quick. And this was just an interesting read because it's kind of like you're watching this downfall of a character who was on top of the world, and he just goes to the lowest possible levels. I mean, it was just, I really enjoyed it. The art is good, the writing is really good, and I'm really actually looking forward to seeing the second issue. The way this thing ended, it ended with a surprise even, and I'm on top of it. I'm definitely ready for number 2. I just hope it can continue telling a compelling story, because I have a feeling Um, hell is going to be paid later on. Earth 2. Now, it's very rare when I give compliments to DC. And I got to give props for props are due. This was a fantastic fight issue. I am telling you, this had everything that I would want in a superhero battle. A certain degree of chaos, but even though there's chaos, there's a certain logic to where everything is. The way they're interacting with each other, the punching, the level of destruction. And by level of destruction, I don't necessarily mean buildings being destroyed or mountains collapsing, but it's like when you see hits, it's their blows, and they look like they hurt, or they're getting hit by special powers and abilities. And I think this is what just hit it for me on every single level. We had super villains with unusual powers that we haven't seen before, and they're just taking out everybody. I mean, heck, we have a guy here ripping off somebody's head. That is a home run for me. And it just shows the level of this savagery that's going on in this battle. And that's, to me, is what a knockdown fight should be like. And I was so happy. And to top all that off, we get a Mr. Miracle Barbara at the end. So Robinson and Scott, fantastic job. Your art is great. I thought the writing was great. He had a great sense of fighting. And yeah, I know it's not maybe not going to appeal to everybody because of the fighting part, but this was great. And I'm really going to be sad to see Robinson leave because this was a fantastic read. And this is the type of book that I needed because I was starting to lose a little interest in Earth 2 because I just thought it was moving a little too slow, too much yapping and not enough punching. And wow, this hit me like a home run, and I was very, very pleased with it. Swamp Thing, flowers on his grave. Okay, let me put it to you this way. If you, I wanted to do the review last week for this, but I mean last month, but I totally forgot about it. If you've ever wanted to know what Crossed was like, but didn't want to read it, this is Cross. Now, I know you're already going, Majinoni, what are you talking about? Cross has a bunch of people having sex, and there's nakedness and crazy shenanigans everywhere. Well, guess what? This is what's happening here, but you don't have the sex and nudity. Now, there's this whiskey tree, and this is basically it's a tree that's just giving people whiskey, and the whiskey is just causing them to go crazy. And Constantine is basically set himself as king, and you can see the eyes of craziness going on here, and they're basically wanting to spread this whiskey everywhere. And so basically Swamp Thing has to stop him. And he's not doing a good job, at least for the first part. And I'm telling you, there's scenes here that are just out of Cross. Like, this whole thing is Cross. Except for, just imagine them all naked, and they're having sex in various odd positions with various objects, and that normally should never be witnessed by anybody ever, because you'll go insane. And that's what was in part one. There was bigger pages of that and more of that stuff going on. I mean, like this panel right here, I can tell you this much: that wouldn't be whiskey going down her mouth. Now, other than that, I really didn't think that this issue was that great. I mean, you have the Swamp Thing, he finally manages to save the day, obviously, but it's not a great read. This was just rather boring. And I'm not even going to compare it more to the Cross storyline. I just found it rather tame. I found it kind of lame. The art is fine. I mean, it just wasn't engaging. I mean, you have the Swamp Thing, he's like, I'm getting weak and I can't stop these people, but yet once he dies, he's like, oh, look at me, I'm super powerful now. Really? Why didn't you do that in the first place? And I'm like, it's just kind of like, see, like for me, as I'm reading this, I can kind of see them going through this production, and when I get to this part, I'm like, they're going, hey, wait a second, we have to end this story because we have Forever Evil, and then poosh, it's like magically done. And I'm like, I need more than that kind of storytelling where it's conveniently wrapped up. And it's this kind of stuff that just frustrates me the most. That, like, whether or not you agree with the Whiskey Tree as being a good story or not, they don't give it long enough to develop into something fantastic. I mean, like, just to give you an example, like the Naruto fight that's going on right now, that battle took years, literally years, to tell, and this is years of weekly updates. And it's not that they've continually focused on every little thing. It's, you get a little bit here and a little bit there. They introduce new characters and they keep moving the story forward. But years, and and it's paying off it unbelievably well. And when I see this, I'm like going, I just wish we could have something similar to that. I mean, just imagine a dark side battle where it's the Justice League and it takes a couple years, maybe 3 years, where you have this slow buildup. And then, you have villains for Darkseid coming in. And then you have new surprises and twists and turns. And you have all sorts of shenanigans in the middle. That's what I'm saying. Not this, okay, we need to get this done in 3 episode issues because we have a new mini event coming on. And that's what I think is the downfall of books like this. You can't develop good stories because of time constraints. Daredevil Dark Knights. This ends the storyline where Daredevil, it's snowing, and he is trying to bring a heart back to a young child who is dying. And Weeks did a really good job writing it, and I think everybody on this book deserves a pat, a clap, because the art was great, the story was good, and I think the fact that the story was really compelling because you have Daredevil and he can't really use his senses very well because it's freezing and he's freezing, and you have snow everywhere, and he's got to travel this great distance. You have people who are trying to take the heart, trying to kill Daredevil, and it actually just drew you in because you just wanting to know, is he going to get that heart to the girl? Is she going to survive? And that's we need more books like this. This book was a very, very entertaining read, and in a way, this is like, I'll word it this way: this is like a little bit different Daredevil type story than what you would normally get. And this is the type of Daredevil stories I like to see. Something that's a little bit different, something that's not always superhero-y. But anyways, that was a good read. And this is The Leftovers. If you have any comments or questions, let me know. Rate the video. Facebook link right there. I do the Crunchyroll anime reviews, and I'll have more reviews, manga reviews, and stuff like that later. So throw your leftovers away.